welcome everyone to another Resonite Recap stream. I'm Fruxius, I'm here with Nex, I'm with Rue, with Chrome over there, actually, I don't know if you can see him on the camera right now, and we've got Aegis.
Show them real quick.
There we go. Yeah, Chroma's vibing over there.
They got a new van. There we go. And Aegis.
Yeah, it's got a new van, so showing it off. But yeah, we're here to tell you all the cool stuff that happened in Resonite over the past month. That's during the month of December, ish, give or take. We're gonna be focusing kind of like on the big kind of things. Like, you know, there's always every month there's like lots of like, you know, little things. There's some like big things. We did close 67 issues on GitHub like this month. So if you want like, you know, really detailed breakdown, I recommend checking out the updates channel, checking out the devlog, stuff that has all the details. But there's some like really cool things that we want to talk about that have been done over the past month.
Oh no! Oh no!
What happened? Oh no! Why do we get? We're getting into meme in the chat.
Well, I mean, you
No.
did say that we closed
Oh, it
that
is.
many issues.
Oh my god, it is.
You closed
Why is
that
it-
many issues. You closed 67 issues.
It's the number. It's the
You
number.
got-
Why is it that
No,
number?
you gotta do this. You gotta do this.
No.
No?
No, I didn't know it was gonna be that number. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, why is six scared of 7? Because 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
I wanted to like sure, like we should probably get on with the things. The things like over the past month, they were kind of like more of a fun things because like it was kind of holidays. So there was like a lot of stuff like just, you know, having more fun, like kind of more like relaxing things and kind of just like, you know, fun things. But they're still like very important. So the first thing that we want to talk about are some of the development things. We have sub-emitters now for particles. There's actually a bunch of like particle like somewhat like smaller, like for example, oh my god, thank you Jake for your subscription.
Thank you.
Some that let you adjust, for example, particle size, like with a texture for lifetime, so you can scale them like however you want. But the sub-emitters are probably the biggest addition to photon dust, and they open so many new possibilities. And this is already kind of, you know, showcasing like some of the stuff we can do, which is like fireworks, which is very fitting for New Year's. What sub-emitters essentially are, it is an ability for particles to emit other particles. And there's 4 different ways it can happen. The particles, they can be emitted at the particle birth. That's like when a particle is spawned. For example, you have a particle that appears, and you can have like, you know, some additional particles that come around it. You can have particles emit other particles during its lifetime, so as the particle's kind of moving around, it's, you know, emitting its own particles. So it can like trails the particles. You can also make particles at the depth it disappears. For example, like, you know, if you shoot a projectile, and the projectile, like once it kind of finishes, it can like, you know, pop into like smaller burst of particles. And the last method is you can emit particles on collision. So for example, if particle bounces off something, you know, you can have it like do like a splash. And we actually have some examples here. You saw some of the fireworks, which are like, you know, really cool ways, you know, where you can kind of chain a bunch of particle systems. You know, we have the main particle, like maybe that's leaving a trail, and when the fireworks particle reaches its end, it explodes in other particles, and those can then explode into even other particles. You can pretty much chain them in whatever way you want, so you can create like whole kind of systems, like cascading systems of particles. Like for example, here you can see like, you know, it's shooting particles, they have their own trails, will explode in other particles, and also smoke particles. So there's and then the particles that shoot out have their own like particle trail. So there's pretty much like unlimited ways to like, you know, compose the effects and stack them. The system, you can even potentially like you can plug the sub-emitter to emit particles within the same particle system, which can create like some interesting effects. But the system will be limited by the number of max particles. So, you know, even if it would explode exponentially, that's gonna cap it. So like you're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna explode yourself unless you put like, a really big number in the max particles. So cautious with that one. But yeah, this kind of covers like a lot of things. The particles can also inherit a bunch of properties. So you can, for example, have them, inherit velocity. You can have inherit color, size, other things that can be also stacked together. So there's lots of cool ways. And here, for example, is the rain that we showed earlier, where when the particles collide, they both like we can see they kind of splash and they create like these like rains. So we've seen like lots of cool ways people have like used this, and there's gonna be some more stuff kind of coming into Photonos as well. But like a whole new class of like visual effects that you're now able to do that were difficult or impossible to do before. This should kind of cover the sub-emitters. There's a lot of cool stuff like we can check with that. But there's another cool thing that's kind of been added that sort of like a half like neat, half like on whim project. We introduced something called Resonite Link. What Resonite Link is, it's an open library and it's an open protocol for working with the Resonite's data model through WebSocket with JSON. And first of all, data model is essentially everything in Resonite, like the avatars, the world, the objects, everything described. And normally you would use to build things. You're essentially building the data model, creating structure and interactivity, all that is described by the data model. And we are very heavily focused on in-game creative using like tool and other tools to build stuff out in. We also think that interoperability with other tools is very important. For example, import lots of formats, but it requires like specific exchange formats, and you cannot really do very specific stuff with that. To open up a whole new class of interoperability, we've introduced Resonite Link because that lets you work with the data model directly, where it pretty much maps like one-to-one to the stuff that is in game, but it can be accessed externally from pretty much any language like that supports JSON and WebSocket, which is a lot of them. So we can write external C# applications. We've seen libraries in Python. There's like somebody working on the Rust library. There's been like TypeScript ones. There's like already a lot of stuff popping out. In part because we made this protocol open, available under MIT license on GitHub, so anyone can use it as a reference or use it as a building block. We ourselves will be using this library as a building block for other applications, like for example the Unity SDK, which itself also will be open, and serve as a both like reference and like a basis you can build on. And the Unity SDK is gonna utilize Resonite Link to essentially pipe data from Unity into Resonite to build out a world based on what you have within Unity. But because we're making this open, this opens up a lot of other possibilities where anyone in the community, you can make SDKs for other tools. You can make SDKs for Godot, Unreal, Blender, other tools. There's other applications you could for example, make scripts to procedurally generate worlds and update them, or maybe monitor what's happening in a world when you're running an event with external scripts. There's lots of cool possibilities, and we'll be exploring some of those ourselves. But also we wanted to make it so it's open to anyone and empowers anyone in the community to build a lot of cool stuff and make a lot of cool integrations with Resonite. This just kind of released very recently, but there's already been a lot of cool things we've been seeing, and people have been having a lot of fun with it. The library is still under development. We're adding new things. Just today, we released support, for example, for importing textures. So you can bring texture assets, and there's going to be other asset types soon. So there's stuff being added. The library is also currently considered in beta, meaning the protocol, it can still have breaking changes. We're gonna give it a little bit to stabilize. We're gonna change our mind on how some things are modeled, either based on feedback from community or our own things. So do take a bit of caution. Things might especially if you're building a library, things might change. So be prepared for that. But it's pretty much stable, where you can have fun with it. You can do really cool things. So that kind of covers Resonite Link. There's a whole bunch of information you can find on the GitHub. There's like a README, there's like samples, there's some like examples of showcases, and over time as there's like community projects, we're also going to add links to those as well. We've already even had like a few people contributing, so huge thanks to was already started kind of participating with the process, and there's going to be lots more soon. So with this, this should kind of cover up the Resonite link, and we can move to the next topic, which is additions from the R theme. So they just can tell us a little bit more about that.
As with what Fritz described, with like the month of December was kind of like a month where we kind of took it easy, kind of slowed down a bit, worked on our own things here and there. There was some things that we did this last month. One especially is updating the tutorial world a little bit. One is adding a board within there that will remind users that the help tab exists, and they can use it to, like, find out information about Resonite itself, as well as fix a couple of bugs in regards of when new users load into the tutorial world. Now, if there are still issues, please submit a GitHub issue for that. That is one thing we are actively wanting to know if it's fixed or not. So, still something we're testing. But other than that, throughout the the particle system that was like here earlier, the fireworks, that is also within the Resonite Essentials for anyone to mess around with and change the color or mess around with the different parameters if they want to. It's under the subfolder in the Resonite Essentials of examples. It's right there. Yeah, and across the start of this year, we're going to start looking to improve the beginner's experience, as well as we're still working on the Universe project as well, and that's been going quite well, and we'll definitely have more things to show the community once we get more done. And yeah, I'd like to hand off the next part to Nex about the events we did.
Yeah, we had our holiday winter event last month for Christmas time, and that was quite a lot of fun. We had people make their own custom ornaments, as well as give out gifts to each other. Big thanks to a random meatball and Rain. They helped out a lot with that event as well, and they also gave me some gifts, so thank you for those gifts. I actually have a image with this ornament that Rue created of the event. With, I'll just kind of like get a little bit close so you can kind of see.
Oh, that's cool. They can like put an entire world 360 in there.
That's cool.
360 image. Yeah, we found that out in placing this out there, but you can see like the Christmas tree inside there. So it was a lot of fun. People were having a great time, and yeah, it was a great event. We're planning on possibly having another event coming up pretty soon. We still have yet to announce it, but keep your eyes out for something that's probably going to come around in February. And but yeah, big thank you to everyone who came out to that event, and if you weren't able to make it that one, fully understandable, holiday season and such. So yeah, that's about that.
Yeah, I wasn't really like around much myself. I was like doing a lot of like IRL stuff, but it sounds like a lot of like people had like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
So thank you very much for the updates. With that, we should be able to move to the next topic, which is covering a bunch of quality of life changes. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's like, the two big like kind of additions. But there's just like some other kind of smaller things, and there's like some things that stand out. One of those is we have two new GitHub issue types. And these are kind of like, designed to kind of address like two of the most common problems we can have like with GitHub. We essentially introduced sort of like observation issues, which is like, not asking for specific bugs or specific feature and so on, but it's more like, higher level sort of observations. And there's like one for positive observations. So if you want to share with us, something that works really well, something that you like, or something that helped, this is a way to kind of do it, and that can be useful in a number of ways. One of them is kind of encourages us to do more of the similar work because when working on this platform, it's important to know what is wrong and what needs to be improved, but it's also like important to know what we're doing right, and because we want to do more things like that. And also just kind of gives us that sort of positive kind of feedback loop, like where we feel like okay, like things we're doing is actually making positive impact. It's not all just bad and negative. So we already have a bunch of people posting those, and thank you very much for sharing. The other type is friction point observations, and this one's also very, very useful to us because sometimes when we approach things, we're not necessarily looking for people to report what they think would be a solution to a particular problem. We want to know what the problem is and kind of focus on what might be causing some issues, some friction points essentially with Resonite. That can be either for other users. For example, you notice, your users struggling with something, you can create a friction point issue to document that and, explain what the user was trying to do, where did they get stuck on, for example, or what part they found difficult, what part they struggled with. And what it does is it lets us sort of, look at it, and then we can actually figure out how do we approach these issues. Oftentimes we also try to look at a number of different kind of friction points and be can we redesign a class of systems where there's multiple problems at once? It kind of lets us, it gives us more freedom in addressing issues and actually putting some time into designing solutions rather than trying to ad hoc fix, issues here and there. So, and we also have a number of people sharing the friction points, which kind of helps us, better understand how people use the platform, both the good and bad, and figure out what are, how should we approach different things and design different systems to address these issues and bring more of the good and, address more of the bad. So, issue types, you can pretty much create them when you go to our GitHub, just 2 new issue templates, and just pick one of those, and it is gonna kind of guide you. We also have information. If you check the README, there's a bunch more info, some examples and stuff on what these issues cover. For example, one of the things with friction point, ask people to keep it to the point, keep it factual, and avoid inserting emotion to it. Because well, it's understandable, if something's frustrating, something's friction point, people get frustrated and get angry. But if that's put into the issue, that actually makes it hard to work with it, because now it's kind of very emotionally charged, and it makes it harder to actually address those issues because it kind of distracts away from those. So we kind of ask people to keep it more on the facts and leave that out of the issue so we can better focus on actually fixing it. There's some other stuff. For example, we've also improved the importer. So it's one of those sort of I don't want to say obscure, but less known features that Resonite has, where you can actually import into Minecraft. It's going to import chunks. It's going to set up a cooling system, so it only shows certain range around you. The Minecraft importer has been updated to support. It should support the latest version of Minecraft, unless a new one released. I haven't actually kept track. So it should work for the latest worlds. Some of the blocks might not classify properly, so it might need some more fixes, but you should be able to import them. It's also been improved in performance, where it now sort of does pipelined importing. So instead of waiting entire world to be exported, it's going to import the chunks as they kind of are continually exported by Mineways, which is the tool we use to extract the geometry. There's other stuff for example, avoid initialization, of certain APIs that can improve some startup issues. And there's also various bug fixes to the ARM headless from before. Because it was kind of last month, but we'll kind of talk about it at the last recap stream, where we now officially support headless on ARM devices. So you can pretty much run the headless out of the box on Raspberry Pi and similar devices. There's also been like bug fixes for it, so like support should be like improve some like issues that people run into for now. So it kind of covers like a lot of the kind of like small things, which means we can move to the next topic. Oh, did I? Ooh, oh, that was the wrong screen. Sorry for that. We have a new space video. So more in general news, like I'll actually next do one handling camera, so I'll let you handle that one.
Thank you.
Our marketing team has made this cool video about Resonite and use for space, because space is cool.
We'll hit play on it.
Space is often referred to as the final frontier. But with virtual reality, it can also be the first step. Real-world space operations require training. In space operations, from ideation to prototyping, there are thousands of steps and thousands of softwares to learn. Resonite bridges the gap, from live data visualization or exporting telemetry instantly. Don't just capture spreadsheets of data, apply it all in real time. Resonite has extensive support for metadata feeds, from WebSockets, OSC, or other APIs. It can be easily used with existing datasets to create real-time applications. With our in-engine approach to scripting, there's no need to go back and forth from code to application. Everything is handled within Resonite, so your team can create real-world demonstrations without limitations.
Space. Yeah.
I love space. Space.
Space.
Yes.
But yes, this is like another video kind of showcasing one of the things that Resonite can be used for, and particle space is very interesting to us because we are actually like we have like a bunch of like partnerships with companies, and there's like a lot of them kind of interested in a lot of like space stuff. So having this video helps us develop some other kind of business relations, which we would like be able to talk about a bit more if like we had Bob, but unfortunately, and I'm gonna get into it shortly, Bob is not here. He's making more of those business connections at CES.
Doing a business.
He's doing business. But yeah, this kind of covers like a lot of this stuff. So, but this like very much like now that the holidays are kind of over, we're gonna be like getting back into like more of the serious stuff too. I hope like everyone can like enjoy like the holidays. That it's a good time to like take things a bit like easy. I know like we certainly like did like spend time with like some Resonite. A lot of people had like fun in Resonite as well. So it's like this amazing like World by the Creator Jam, like virtual like a New Year's party. We're like watching this one and people like hang out and do things. For some reasons we also chose like this world with this stream because it's very cool. But unfortunately we don't. Since we don't have Bob, we don't have the business hours today because Bob's doing a lot of business at CES. But I'm sure he'll have like lots of stuff for you next month to recap CS stuff, sort of other things that happened during the past 2 months. So with this, we're kind of through all our actual topics. We still have about 35 minutes left. So we're now going to open the stream to questions. You can pretty much ask us anything you want. Some things we might direct you to more specific kind of channels, but feel free to ask. Main thing, make sure to put a question mark in a chat. That way it kind of pops on our thing, and we'll be able to we'll be able to catch it that way. We already have a bunch of questions. Some of them are like kind of silly, some of them are like less, but we're gonna go through them. But feel free to pose more questions. We've got a fair amount of time. And for any questions that we're not able to go through today, there's a bunch of webinars that are held by different teams. Like there's the art ones at Wednesday. Power Prime has his on Tuesday. There's J4 ones. I was. And there's also like the Resonance that's on Sundays, and Moderation ones that are also on Sundays.
You can also find
recommend
these on
checking
the
oh,
events facet and on the Discord in the events
yes.
tab.
As I said, I recommend checking the Discord for specific times for each one of the event. But yeah, let's start going through the questions. So did this one. So we got a question from Emergency Temporal Shift. They're asking, can subparticles emit particles? Yes, they can. The subparticles, they're like not actually treated any different. They're just like particles like any other. So if you emit, if a particle emits a particle system that has its own sub-emitters, does work, like, kind of the way you would expect. Like, those particles would emit those particles. I mentioned earlier, you
cut
can
out a
even, like,
little bit
make
there.
Oh, sorry.
You breaking up?
What was I saying? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, but essentially, like, yeah, like it you can train the systems in any way you want, meaning you can even, like, have particles that kind of, form a circular loop, like where, say, particle A emits particle B, which then emits particle C, which then emits particle A, and it'll just kind of work. So you can chain them in any way you want.
So now we can simulate a nuclear reactor.
You can. There's the limit of the max particles. So, like, you're not gonna explode yourself by default, but if you, like, go and set max particles, oh my god, thank you, Climber, for the subscription.
If we emit 1 billion particles,
Thank you.
then we would explode, right?
Yeah, if you put 1 billion, if you put 1 billion into the max particles number, then it'll try to emit 1 billion particles. It'll probably crash before then, but it'll try. So do that on your own risk.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, I'm breaking up a bit. Unfortunately, like, using like a different setup for now, but it should be good for the next month one.
Luckily, it's only every once in a while. So
Yeah.
we'll just need to make sure.
I do. If you're, like, asking questions, please provide us with context, because we got, like, this question, but I have no idea what is this in relation to.
They're
that
talking
was
about
in relation to
the
voice dropping.
the internet.
Oh, okay. Maybe
That was about the
3001 was
Resonite.
asking. Yeah, I kind of figured this one is. Maybe 3000 was asking, will you have non-host to be able to use it? No, it's actually the opposite. Like, you need right now to enable Resonite Link, you need to be host, and you need to, by default, you need to have build level permissions. There's a new permissions component that lets world creators configure them, so you can. It's going to depend on configuration of the world, but by default, you need to have at least builder and be the host to be able to enable Resonite Link. Next question, got something within the chat. Buplar asking, oh, I can actually just put it here. Buplar is asking, people notice daytime and time zone are yet implemented on the node. Have you heard about all alerts and saver ISO 8601? If people are seeing things that are missing, please make issues. People just, this is something that kind of tends to happen where people notice some bug or something missing or some issue, but they will make an issue about it, which means it doesn't get addressed. People just kind of talk about themselves, but that's difficult for us to actually, address those issues when they are not, like, reported. Sometimes, like, we'll overhear them, but then, by the time, like, we take the headset off, like, and we're, like, for this one, for example, specific one, I would have to remember, like, but I'm gonna read, like, a whole bunch of questions, take my headset off, go get food, and by the time I forgot and that, somebody reported this, so please make issues. We actually had, like, some additions because the URL types were not supported, and we had Orange make a GitHub issue, and the got addressed. So that's how we need to, like, handle that. And also, yes, unfortunately, I'm plugged into Ethernet right now, but it seems to be still having issues. I'm also, like, in my headset. Oh, what happened?
Whoa.
What was that?
Earthquake.
Oopsie, grabbable.
What the dog do?
I don't know.
The next question's from Epic Easton. Who was the voice actor behind the Universe project? In the video you just showed, what kind of relations you have with them? Because you have used their voice over work multiple times, I'm generally curious. Yes, that's Marinda Botha. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name. She's one of the people from Meta Movie as well. She voices like a number of characters, like the AI and so on. And we worked with her before on the Universe project, and we're like, we're like her like voice. So we commissioned her for, I think now 2 videos, and I think like there's like some more are gonna be coming. So yes, she does excellent job. Emergency Temporal Shift is also asking, can data model in Resonite Link vary particle data directly? So it depends a little bit on what you mean by particle data. If you mean like the current state of the particle system, then no, because that's not part of the data model. If you just mean like doing like configuring particle systems, like for example you create one or you like update some of the parameters on the modules, you can do that. That's part of the data model. Essentially, if you can see it in the inspector, you should be able to update it through Resonite Link. That's kind of good rule of thumb. There's like some things that are not covered right now. Some things actually that you can do with Resonite Link that are not exposed in inspector, like for example arrays. But generally, the rule of thumb is if it's in the inspector, it's going to be accessible through Resonite Link. Some exceptions, but generally, like if something is not like part of the synchronous data model, that's not accessible through data model, through Resonite Link. Next question is, Biscarc Jan is asking, if someone has a feature in mind but the whole system UI is known to be redesigned in feature, would you prefer for them to make issue at a time or later when the system is going to be redesigned? In my case, I'd prefer to make one ASAP because I'd like to forget in the future, but at the same time, I would want it to clog issues and take your time to read through it. I mean, it kind of depends. We can always like just make the issue. Like when somebody makes an issue and we say like, well, we're not going to work on this now because we plan to redesign the system. It's not us saying, it's bad you made the issue. It's us just informing you this is how we want to approach it. This is what our plan is because we want to be kind of transparent and kind of upfront about it. Generally, like,
gives us stuff
if you
to
have
look back at when we're redesigning it to make sure marks. That's what I was gonna say. Is like sometimes that does influence, how we sort of redesign things. It kind of depends how it's approached because, like in some cases, like the suggestion might not make sense. Like it's only for the context of the existing UI, and it might not make sense for the redesigned one. So at that point, like it can like it might not like help, but like we usually say. And usually what helps us is sort of like the motivation. Like for example, if you're asking for a feature, understand what kind of problem you're trying to solve. Because when we do redesign things, then we usually look at like what problems are we trying to solve with a redesign, and having better understanding what problems people deal with the current system, that helps ones that redesign. So if you want to make an issue, we might not address it. We might say, we plan to redesign the system, but that shouldn't stop you from actually making the issue. If you do want to, actually, I probably do recommend focusing on what issue you're having. So it's not specifically suggesting sure, but more like I have this kind of problem. I need something, to solve this kind of issue or frustration point or friction point I'm having.
That's a pretty good question.
Yeah. Yuffie Euphoria is asking,
Are there plans to add events to particles such as sounds, collision, bird rep detection? Yes. Yeah, we'll have like a sound like module system. I think like for the particles that they're doing, like like they don't have a sound to them, and I think that's gonna add a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be like some limitations to like for example like there's gonna be certain of like maximum sounds because like with the particle system you can have like you can have thousands of particles but it cannot have that many sounds, so there's gonna be some systems similar to the lights module where there's a limit on how many actually make a sound.
I'll update the fireworks preset that I made with it.
Navy 3001 is asking, when will UI be reworked? A lot of new users that come to the CEO complain about the UI. Generally, we don't do when questions. Like, we right now like we haven't like announced like the next kind of like big priority other than focusing on developer mental health and motivation. But UI is pretty high on the list. It's one of the things I would say we want to address during this year. But again, like not doing any particular promises on when, like we settle some things.
Also, it's not really like it's quite vague on like the complaints about UI. Like,
Yes.
it's better to be more specific on what are the pain points of users. Like that's why the new GitHub templates are created.
Yes.
Because not only like the UI like will have things that people have pain points on, but also documenting that, teaching users how that UI works is also just as important.
Yes. Yeah, there's like if you want to like help contribute to that process, like the most useful things to us is actually creating, the friction point issues and sort of documenting what actually like what are the issues that people are actually having, because redesigning like reworking UI it's very vague. Like that can mean lots of different things. It can mean reworking inspectors, it can mean reworking the inventory, dash, like interactions with items. Like it's a very, very broad umbrella, and what helps us is knowing like, which parts, which things are gonna be the most impactful skills in those. Because the approach we've taken, like, with the working UI is like we do it kind of piecewise. We're not going to do everything like in one single chunk. And we've already reworked like, parts of it. Like, for example, we did the settings UI. That's been sort of like in the first step. And when we do work more on the UI, we're going to be deciding, should we do the inventory first? Should we do like, this thing? Should we do this thing? Having better understanding of what are the actual kind of issues and frustration points that people are dealing with will help with this process a lot. When the feedback is like, like, oh, like the people are complaining about UI, then you're essentially taking a chance that the part of UI that we decide to rework happens to be the UI they're complaining about. Because if we don't know, it's completely up to the chance whether like, we have the issue or not.
You're gonna have to repeat that last, like I think 10 seconds. You were frozen.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what I was saying for the TLDR, please make friction point observation issues. Give us actual like details on what people get stuck on, because that helps tremendously. Like when the feedback is very vague, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, when the feedback is very vague, it's very difficult to actually act on it. Next question is from Emergency Temporal Shift. Is there a guide page or video for Resonite link? Yes, check the repository. The GitHub has a README. It also has auto-generated documentation, and the README includes a video, kind of doing a showcase. So check that out. It has like it should have all the information you need to get started.
Uh-oh. They're catching up, I think.
just really asking. Regarding missing data types in Resonite link serialization, in which repo should we create the issue in Resonite use or Resonite link? I would recommend doing Resonite issues because that one's like more well integrated. We should catch it in both, but the Resonite link, like, we might not notice as well. Next question from Navy 3001. I've been in worlds in VRC that are 5 times bigger and much more content than I were in Rezone. I got 72 FPS. Oh, please don't scroll it when I'm reading. Sorry. I've been in worlds that are 5 times bigger and much more content than I were in Rezone, and I got 72 FPS. Best FPS I got, not in a grade, is 65. Is there plans to help get Resonite performance on par or better in VRC? So we've already done like the big upgrade with the splitting and like switching to the 9 to the 10. Performance, however, is like, very complex thing. So it kind of depends, what you might be comparing. Based on what feedback we got, like some people actually told us, they run better than VRC. Some people say like, it's kind of on par. So what would help is, having some kind of comparisons, like having some cases like where the performance is kind of worse, so we know like what part, can we focus on. Generally, we do have a number of things we want to do to improve performance, like further. They're not gonna be, we're not gonna be working on them right now, because we do want to focus like on some other things, but they will help like with additional performance improvements. So stuff like variable rate updates, doing reworking, data model, doing more kind of built-in culling systems, like things like that. Without knowing, what specific content you're comparing, because like size of the world is like not really a good indicator for performance. Like, like size, it's very easy to make things big. What usually matters more is, amount of detail. And like, what the world is doing and how is it kind of structured. And it's kind of, where knowing a little bit more, but and like what hardware you're running on, because performance, there can be, you can be, for example, CPU limited, or it can be GPU limited. Maybe, maybe the performance slowdown you're seeing is because of like, GPU resources or CPU resources, but without us knowing, like if it's gonna address, your specific issues. But in short, yes, there's more things we want to do with performance in the future. But performance is a very complex thing, so like it's not necessarily, the things we plan, like maybe they will not address the performance issues you're having, like, particularly because you might be, for example, you might be like GPU limited, and next thing focus with the CPU limitations. So having a little bit more detail like would kind of help like with that kind of stuff, but in general, yes, there's gonna be more performance work in the future. And yes, good.
No.
Or Brooks' internet. Oh no.
Back.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, that's really weird because like I hear like everything fine from my end. I think it's like the upload.
Oh, yeah.
Something's throttling your upload.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like this bad. Anyway,
decoy. Or Brooks.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, that we can.
Now we can.
Every
It's
once in a
stable.
while.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, can you like hear me every once in a while, or is it like? Oh.
It's pretty choppy.
Off and on.
Yeah.
Probably where you probably
It kind
see
of
if
goes
there's
from
anything
frozen
else.
to we can hear you talking, and then you freeze again.
Um, so, hello? Everything
Hello.
just kind of went crazy for me.
I think you caught up.
Yeah, I think it caught up. So Decoy is asking, what does Fergus want to see in Resonite for 2026? A lot of stuff. Like, I just want people like to see Resonite like more, make more cool content, and I definitely love like to see people to share more about Resonite, like a lot of fun stuff like on social media to help bring more people onto the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone?
I mean, the same here.
For everyone else too, yeah.
I
Extend it
definitely
to
want to
everyone.
see people like make more interactive experiences, especially with like the like performance that we have now with splitting and the new .NET. You can actually you still have to make things in a particular way in order to get like really good performance, but we have way more room now to make interactive experiences than we did before. So I'm definitely excited to see what people do with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And more tools.
Yeah, what I would like to just see is just more new people, more new minds here innovating and creating inside of this open virtual universe. And the more minds that are inside of here, the more the pieces together of the complexity of Resonite. So I just want to see more people.
Yeah, more people. Well, next question is not no, please. Sorry, just next question from Navy 3001.
Oh, you froze. Let's give it a second.
There you go. Oh.
Just get through things.
Or we'll say, I mean, you want one of us to read it?
Yeah, you can read it.
Navy 3001 says, one thing a few users have agreed with is there's a lot of bold colors on the UI. It causes new users to dart their eyes all over the place, maybe have the same color tone per UI section.
So this would be like a good, friction point issue potentially to document this, but I feel this kind of depends what part of UI you're talking, because generally, color is used in UI to help, visually separate things. And having UI that's all the same color can actually have the opposite effect, where it becomes hard to kind of separate, things from each other and hard to, find and identify. So I feel like it's one of those things that's, a bit more nuanced. Probably not to know, are you talking about a dash? Are you talking, which piece of UI you're kind of specifically addressing? And is it colors that are sort of doing things, or is it more the graphics? So I think that this is one of those things that's more complex. We probably need to understand it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I can actually answer this next question. So
yes.
Zem is asking, what music playlist are you using for the stream? Right now we are using Resocast for the stream right now. And yeah, it's a really great stream that basically uses a whole bunch of different Resonite themed music, or music that has been specifically created and made inside of Resonite or for Resonite.
Yeah.
Bitcrack asks, what world is this? It looks really pretty.
Yeah, this is
the Creator Jam New Year's world.
Creator Jam New Year's Eve 2026. Highly recommend hopping inside of here and seeing the show every hour on the hour. That's quite nice.
If you'd like to check it out, you can click on the featured worlds tab, and it should be one of the first ones up there. It says CJ New Year's Eve 2026.
Yep.
Ace on Twitch 17 asks, how is working on developer mental health going? Has the experimentation days helped make progress? We'll wait for Fruits to unfreeze for a second here. Oh,
Oh,
they got him.
Well,
I think the experimentation days have helped out, and I think a lot of people have used them in their own ways. I know Fruits was working a bunch of like personal projects. I took that time to work on a few things here and there, but mostly kind of like actually have the time to deal with some IRL stuff. But yeah, what about y'all?
pretty
yeah,
much the same.
Yeah.
For myself, my experimentation has just been going off into learning how to make music, and also reading about new topics and trying to learn new languages.
Uh.
That being trying a little bit more with learning Japanese, and also a little bit on learning Latin. So,
Nice.
experimenting on means, and yeah, I'd say my mental health is quite good for the start of 2026.
Oh, there's Fruits. Welcome back.
It seems smoother too.
We were just going over about
never mind,
the
I jinxed
mental
it.
health days. Was there anything that you did over, like, say, those experimentation days that you wanted to go over specifically, or like, maybe how they helped you?
I don't know.
We were talking about the mental health like break kind of thing that we did, where we got to like experiment with some stuff over December. Take like personal projects and whatnot.
Oh yes. Yeah, we kind of started like doing like a bunch of that, like in part like to recover from. Well, we're kind of like stress and crunch that's been kind of happening over the past few years, and it's definitely been helping, but I still feel like we kind of need more of it.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff, like for example, like the particle stuff, even like Resonite Link is just kind of been like having fun, like messing with it and toying with it and opening like new possibilities.
Also, does my
let's see,
microphone
we-
sound distant to anyone? Because I saw in chat.
No.
No.
Sounds
Well, I was
fine.
meaning
You sound fine.
on stream.
Oh,
We had about 9 minutes, by the way.
well, let's see if we can get through more.
Okay, thank you, Dusty.
That's what we just answered. There we
Yep.
go.
Oh, this one?
No, that one's new.
Yeah, we need that one.
This one.
Dusty Sprinkles asks, actually, this might be in reference to another person in chat, but at Ace on Twitch 17, on topic of developer health, does Resonite have health insurance plans? A really important part of having a healthy mental health, etc., is talking over any problems with professionals.
So, unfortunately, we don't. Kind of complicated situation. So for me, because I'm, like we do have like healthcare, like where I live, but I'm also technically not like another company in a way that the company would be handling that. I kind of have to like pay for it like myself. And unfortunately, even for other like team members, like we don't have those plans right now. It's what happened?
It's also a little bit more complicated than like you would normally set up health insurance with, say, like one of your employers or something, because we kind of also own the company. There's a lot of extra steps that need to be done business wise to make sure everything's done legally and correct, and we want to make sure when we're doing stuff, we're doing it the right way.
Yeah. And also the unfortunate thing is like it costs. We don't have that much of a budget as a company, which is one of the reasons like we need more support and we need to kind of grow this project. So bigger thing stuff here. Jeez.
What's with all the chromas?
Yeah, it's going.
What do you mean? They're jumping at us. Jump scaring us.
Here, I'll wrangle.
As Decoy said in chat too, it gets complicated when, like, we're technically an international team. I'm in the U.S., Frooks is from the Czech. We got people from, Decoy is in Europe as well, like Finland, if I recall, and people in Canada. a Canadian get.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, but supporting, the project and like helping us kind of grow, like will help us, like do more of these things, like in a better way. But it's definitely one of the kind of challenges we kind of deal with, being like a small team. Oh, we got like we shouldn't have questions after this. Everyone is asking, do you guys have any immediate plans to improve?
Here, I'll read it for you
But
first.
the last 3 times, oh, is it
Like-
breaking?
Yeah, it's a little choppy.
Do you guys have any immediate plans to improve the new user experience? I'd be happy to be one of those new people you want, but the last 3 times I've tried to get my friends into Resonite, the setup being so difficult without having someone to walk you through it has turned them away.
So, in regards of the new user experience this year, it's definitely one of the large focuses we want to do. But what we want to do this year, compared to last year, is actually take our time to properly make this. With the collection of feedback, pain points, or friction points that Fruits like described earlier in GitHub, previous GitHub issues about it, all this feedback and ideas, collecting it together, figuring out the best way approach for it, and going through and properly designing both a narrative experience for new users as well as a new user experience that people can choose what they want to learn about Resonite. If they want to learn just the basics and go right into a world with other people and all that, they can. If people want to find an avatar that they want to just jump right in, they could too. Or delve deep into the tools, or find games, or make games. It'll all be there.
And definitely make sure
I
you
think-
write down some of those pain points that your friends ran into in GitHub issues if you haven't already. That way we can specifically look at some of those issues they ran into and make the experience better.
Yes, please make the friction point issues. Like, helping us understand, like, what kind of stuff they are into and what turns them away helps us to ultimately address those problems. Because right now, like, essentially what you're telling us is, there's something that's turning them away. We don't know what it is exactly. Which means, like, whatever we plan doing might address it, but it also might not. So, by sharing with us, like, what they get stuck on, that gives us much better understanding, and we can design things to, avoid those problems in future. But also, like, I think one thing that's important to understand is, like, it's a continuous process, like, because even, like, just the last month, like, for example, our team, they added the notification for the help tab, which is another thing that's been added to help new users, where there's a lot of information you can find about Resonite and how to use it. So
Yeah, much
there's
more
like
things will
things
be
being kind of
fixed.
improved.
Yeah, much more things will be fixed and helped and added on to that help tab for users, so then it's more fluid. Good for all of them.
What you just mentioned about an avatar too is things like, say, Unity SDK would also help,
Oh yes.
like improve things. But that's the thing, though; it's not related to a new user experience entirely. It's kind of like, well, another thing that would complement that feature.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess the last thing I'll say to kind of close that
Yes.
question would be, like, throughout the year, we're going to be focusing on 3 main kind of things, like balancing it throughout the year. Both we work on stuff for business clients, we work on stuff for, like, community, like, related projects, like the new user experience, as well as fun experiences that we also work at the same time, too, like the universe and others. So...
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, about this one is, like, like the thing you just mentioned in the chat, like, it's pretty much like this is not a new user experience, or what we classify as a user experience, because there's the tutorials. It sounds like, they just want to bring their avatar, which is a completely uniform implementation, is a completely different thing. So you sharing this with us, this lets us know, okay, the Unity SDK feels like that would actually help address their problems, because with that, once that's completed, they would be able to just pretty much like one click or nearly one click convert their existing avatar, bring it in, and have it in game, to start with. So sharing this kind of information with us, what is the actual friction points that helps us to know what to focus on. And that's why it's really important to, share those details.
We also are at
Please
our,
share.
So for this, we're at a full hour, so we'll have to end the stream here. Sorry for the internet issues. Unfortunately, I'm traveling right now and kind of built-in wars. But thank you for joining. Thank you everyone, for fingers on it, making cool stuff, supporting us, and also huge thanks to our supporters. Can I actually ask some of the read sponsors and the big names?
Yes. Big thanks to Sidril Scout, Hikari, Akamori, Ixri, and Earthmark. And then additional thanks to Big Red Wolfie, VR Exist, Brodok, Chevron7, BD_, Jack the Fox Otter, Scalifar, Rix, Mediton, Mikani, Metion, sorry, Starla, Steephil Jackal, Matator 2011, Mira SK, Tascon, Vizzy, Genesist, Micro, RN, a random meatball. Sorry, you want to take it over, agents? My brain's like
Zephyr, Lero Fox, Keith, Kyubi Yoru, Zyzel, Water, Annie, Lotus Gaming, Haley Headless, Faith, and Qtron.
and then an additional thanks to the rest of our supporters here at the bottom as well.
No, we should read out all of that too. What are you talking
Oh
about?
my
Let's read
goodness.
all their names, right? No, we should do that.
Okay, let's.
But yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
and,
so much.
Yes.
The showers that you'll be able to join if we have.
Oh.
Thank you very much, and see you in the next stream.
See you on the next stream.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Keep the conversation going on other streams that we're going to be hosting. You can check that out on our Discord on our events channel, and you can see all the different types of ones for art team and for moderation and for the resonance. So stay tuned for that this month. Hi, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.